Hi, college. Okay, today we are going to clear up any confusion we might have with major scales. What we first need to remember is the pattern of whole steps and half steps that exist between every scale degree of the major scale. Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. We can start the major scale from any basic note or any non-basic note. So first, let's do a basic note. Let's start from basic note G. There's a few ways of doing this. We can write all basic notes from G first, and then we can go back and realize that we'll need this pattern and half steps to occur between the mediant and the subdominant and the leading tone and high tonic. If you notice, G to A is a whole step, A to B is a whole step, B to C is a half step. So far it is a major scale. C to D is a whole step, D to E is a whole step, E to F is a half step, but we need a whole step. So we're going to need to place a sharp sign. So now we have E to F sharp, which is a whole step. Once we do that, then we should have a half step between scale degree 7 to scale degree 8, which we do. So we've just created the G major scale when it was G Mixolydian. Now what we can do is think about it the other way. Let's say we want to build the G major scale. We can just take one note at a time without writing all the basic notes out first. So if our tonic pitch is G, and by the way, the major scale gets its name from the tonic pitch. So our first scale degree is G, therefore we call it the G major scale. We need a whole step up from G, which is an A. We need a whole step up from A, which is B. We need a half step up from B, which is C. Next comes a whole step from C to D. Another whole step from D to E. Another whole step from E to F sharp. And then a half step from F sharp back to tonic G. Some of us, when we wrote our major scales, we went a little bit further. In other words, some people decided to go to the A, but this is not the major scale because we're just dealing with 8 scale degrees if you include the octave. Okay, so that's one thing to be reminded of. Now, let's build the A flat major scale. So first we need to decide what our tonic note is. Well, many of you did this as your tonic note for building the A flat major scale, which is not accurate because that is the A, not an A flat. So the A flat major scale means that our tonic pitch must be A flat. So we must draw a flat sign. Once we realize our tonic pitch, it's then we could know our pattern of whole steps and half steps. And we can start building. A whole step from A flat up is going to be a B flat. A whole step up from B flat will be a C, natural. We don't need to put the natural sign there. We need a half step from C. Can I do this? No. Now it's going to sound like a major scale if I were to play it on the piano, but major scales are diatonic, not chromatic. So instead of doing C to C sharp, my half step must read as C to D flat. I need a whole step next from D flat. That'll bring me up to E flat. I need another whole step from E flat up to F. I need another whole step from F up to G. And then if all works out, we should arrive back at tonic, which is A flat, therefore having a half step between scale degree 7 and scale degree 8. So that's our A flat major scale. Also, with the packets, I noticed that some of us were mixing sharps and flats. For the major scale, we never really want to mix sharps or flats. It's going to be one or the other. Or, in the case of C major, no sharps and no flats. So now, let's build the C sharp major scale. So our tonic note is going to be C sharp, you guessed it. Not a C, but a C sharp. And what I suggest you do is what I'm doing right now. Because many of you didn't write your whole step and half step underneath the notes you were building. So I think we got a little bit confused where our half steps and whole steps occur. So I want to build the C major scale. Let me rewrite that to make it a little bit neater. C sharp comes first. What's a whole step up from C sharp? D sharp. A whole step up from D sharp would be E sharp. But let me write it as an F. Can I do that? No, I can't do that. This will sound like the major scale, but it must be diatonic, which means I need to use each letter of the alphabet when I'm building major scales. So another way of calling F would be E sharp. So now we need a half step up from E sharp. That would be F sharp. Now I'm going to need a whole step up from F sharp to G sharp. A whole step up from G sharp would be A sharp. A whole step up from A sharp would be B sharp. And a half step up from B sharp would be C sharp. Notice that the C major scale, C sharp major scale, uses all 7 sharps. Notice that just the C major scale uses no sharps. How interesting. So we can practice some in bass clef as well. Let's do G flat major. Our tonic pitch will be G flat. I could do it this way. If I do it this way, this will ensure that I'm using each letter of the alphabet once. Now, if you do it this way, don't forget that scale degree 1 and 8, that's tonic, they need to be the same pitch. So right now they're different. So I have a G flat major scale I want to build. Tonic is G flat, so I need my flat sign at the top as well. Now I can begin to build my scale. I can also write in my pattern of whole steps and half steps. A whole step up from G flat, A flat. A whole step up from A flat would be B flat. A half step up from B flat, I have to call it C something. It's going to be a C flat. A whole step up from C flat would be D flat. A whole step up from D flat would be E flat. A whole step up from E flat would be an F. So I can just leave the F as basic. And then an F to a G flat is a half step. Therefore, we have the G flat major scale in bass clef. So let's take this and review tetrachords. So tetra is 4. There are 2 tetrachords within a major scale. There is the lower tetrachord, and then there is the upper tetrachord. Okay. This interval right here is the whole step, which separates the interval that separates both tetrachords. Now I'm going to write in bass clef the D flat major scale. So let's write D flat major scale. And I will start on this note, D flat. I can do everything as basic. And the first thing I want to do is remember that to put a flat sign next to the high tonic, D flat. I could add in my pattern of whole steps and half steps as a reminder. And then I will start adding in my flat signs. This is a flat scale. D flat major scale, tonic is D flat. A whole step up would be to E flat. A whole step up from E flat would be F, so I can leave the F as basic. And now I have a half step from F to, it's got to be a G flat. So here is my lower tetrachord in the D flat major scale. And you notice that my lower tetrachord in the D flat major scale is my upper tetrachord in the G flat major scale. Let's continue building the D flat major scale. So right here, I have a G flat. A whole step up would be A flat. A whole step up from A flat would be B flat. A whole step up from B flat would be a C. So I can actually leave that one alone, leave the C as basic. And then I should have a C to a D flat half step. So now what I can do is take a look at my upper tetrachord right here of the D flat major scale, which is the lower tetrachord of the A flat major scale. Because the intervals are the same for a tetrachord, which is whole, whole, half for a major scale, the upper tetrachord can be the lower tetrachord of a major scale, and the lower tetrachord can be the upper tetrachord of another major scale. So hopefully this helped to clear up some confusion when working with major scales. Thanks for watching, college. Talk to you soon.